Peace, salute, infinite blessings to the good people. Blessings on blessings to you. Hope everybody is doing well. I think I'm good on my end. Yes, hold on one second, you guys. 1 second. Okay, I think I'm good. Peace, infinite peace to the good family. Sending and extending warmth your way. I hope that everything is well with you guys. Definitely tapping in for some Sunday cooking. Got a lot to discuss today. Well, not a lot, because I think it pretty much speaks for itself. You know, the work that we got to witness last evening pretty much speaks for itself. So I don't really think that anything needs to be overstated today, but I definitely wanted to posit some thoughts that I had, in viewing the fight, and pretty much what is encompassing the details surrounding Boots and his future and the motivations, that he's going to be aiming and shooting for moving forward, because I'm definitely interested in his pursuits. So we're going to get into that and a lot more, right? But let's see who we got in the building first up. Infinite blessings to the good family. I see some people trickling their way in. Blessings to you guys. Blessings. Let's see who we got in here so far. We got the richest one in the building. Salute to the richest. 10 toes on deck as usual. Infinite blessings to you. I hope that you've been well, Rich. Lovely to see you as always. Right? We have, who is this? DJ Matic in the building. Blessings to you. Peace and infinite blessings to you as well. Thank you so much for swinging through. We got the G showing some big love today. As always, he says salute to the queen. Infinite blessings to the G. Always lovely to see you. My beautiful sis is in the building with that love. Infinite blessings to my beautiful sis. Always lovely to have you in the building. Thank you so much, sis. Lovely to see you as always. We have John Martin in the building so far. Infinite peace, infinite blessings to the King John Martin, always with the wonderful energy. He gave me a 9 and he said, salute, beautiful, sweet, beautiful queen, SugarFreeMars. Keep cooking and keeping things 10,000% real, right? On these boxing streets. Absolutely. 100,000, excuse me. 100,000% real. I feel you, King, and I am on the job. You know how we step in at all times, King. Salute to you. Lovely to see you. I hope all is well with you and yours. Oh my goodness, we got my number one comrade, the King, and the Coach Hudson himself, coach of the truth tellers. That is, ladies and gentlemen, we already know what time it is when a comrade is in the building. He says salute to my number one comrade, the queen of boxing media. What a fight. Absolutely, comrade. Oh my goodness. I was on my toes, on the edge of my seat. I damn near threw a slipper. Ooh, child. Amazing night of boxing. An amazing, amazing night. I can't wait to tap in with you guys about it and get your thoughts on it as well. Oh my goodness, we got the King and the Sensei, Stormy B-Man himself in the building. 10 toes. Infinite blessings to the King, Stormy. Thank you so much for stopping by. I definitely appreciate you. We got the King, Jut, my good brother, Big stepping in the building. He says, salute to the great warrior queen, Sugar Free, staying 10 toes up in here for real. Absolutely, King Jut. Lovely to see you. Thank you so much, King. Always brings a smile to my face to see you. Okay. Who else we got up in here? I'm just scrolling on through. I see the salutations being given. I know I'm giving the good family some time to get up in here. Oh my goodness, we got the King Patrice X30 talking about big stepping. What? The King Patrice is in the building, ladies and gentlemen. He says, when it comes to our fighters' greatness, they try to reject it. Boots made them bow down to our great Black fighting style and respect it. Oh, King Patrice with the bars and the psalms on this Sunday, as per usual, good people. Absolutely. Okay. I think he had everybody put their respect on his name last evening for that fantastic and phenomenal performance that he put on. Wonderful, wonderful showcasing. Wonderful warriorship on display, brothers and sisters. That was quite a legendary fight, if I may say so myself. Like in viewing the fight, that's really the only word that came to like mind. I was like, damn, this is fucking legendary. Like, you know what I mean? This is something that, you know what I'm saying? This is a fight that I can go back and watch and watch and watch again. Excellent showcasing, electrifying fight, you guys. I was actually, my expectations were exceeded because I didn't really know what to expect from the meeting of these two men, right? I expected to be competitive, definitely that, which it was, right? Up until it wasn't, that is, right? But I was not expecting the fireworks that we got. Damn, that was a hell of a fight, you guys. I am so pleased. I'm so pleased. The boxing world should have been thoroughly fed off of the warriorship of those two men, and in particular, of course, the King Boots Ennis, okay, who showed up and showed all the way out, you guys. Now, let's see where I wanted to begin, because I don't necessarily think I'm going to be too long-winded today, but then I tend to say that and then wind up like doing the same amount, you know, the same length of time of a show, but we'll see. Just took a sip of my water there. But in all honesty, you guys, I don't really think there's much to be. I mean, we all know what we witnessed. I think that the reason why I may be a little bit, feeling a need not to be as verbose is because I think that, the job was done. Boots came in there and he did exactly what he needed to do. Like he left no room for, not that there isn't critique, which we'll get into a little bit later, right? Because that's a point that I wanted to touch upon about some buzzings around the critique, buzzing around, some laments people had about him. But I think overall, in my view, he left no room for, really too much, words or any, deep interpretation. He came in there and he stopped the show. In emphatic, fashion. He showed up and he did the damn thing. And he put on for not only the culture, of course, first and foremost, but he also put on for the sport of boxing. It was beautiful display of boxing that we got last evening, you guys. I was absolutely satiated. It was like a good meal. Like, you know what I mean? Like I went to sleep, you know what I'm saying? Feeling jovial. You know what I mean? I felt satisfied. I felt full. You know what I mean? So and I woke up this morning, like, wow, what a great fight. So I think that's probably why I don't feel like I'll need to be, overly, explanatory about anything in any type of way. Now, in my view, this was the best fight of the year, you guys. What do you guys think? For me, this was so far. I mean, I know we haven't ended the year. We're only, basically midway through, a little bit over midway through now. But this was so far the best fight of the year, brothers and sisters. No other fight in 2026 thus far has trumped this fight for me. As far as the electricity, as far as the heat, as far as the exchange, the passion, the delivery, the outcome. Okay, absolutely stunning, you guys. This was the fight of the year for me. You guys let me know if you guys can concur with that. This was it. This was the one. No other fight that has taken place up until this point, brothers and sisters, in my view, can come close to the showing that we got last evening from the King Boots, and Zayas. You know what I mean? I think they really put on. It made for an electrifying night of boxing, and it just was beautiful, you guys. It was absolutely beautiful to sit back and witness that. Hands down, my fight of the year so far. Absolutely fiery, fireworks everywhere. Spectacular night of boxing, right? Fiery ass fight that we got last evening, you guys. Okay, absolutely amazing work from both warriors. Of course, I'm gonna tip my hat off to both men because it takes two, to put on a wonderful night of boxing. And the energy exchange between those two men is what allowed for all of the beautiful fireworks and moments of being on the edge of our seat and actually like, oh my God, I'm worried for him. Is he going to go down? Or damn, this nigga done went down. And oh my God, I love those types of fights that give like roller coaster moments. You don't know. 1 minute you're up, next minute the next person look like they up. Next thing you know, it's like looking wobbly and shaky. Oh my God, I love the complexity of boxing. That's why I'm so, emboldened and passionate by the sport. And, this fight truly exemplified that for me. I think every diehard, sat back and was like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? You know what I mean? Like I said, the fight really did exceed all of my expectations, brothers and sisters. And I really didn't have much. I really didn't put a lot of weight on this particular fight as far as like what I was expecting out of it, like outcomes and things like that. I just kind of gave it to the wind a little bit and says, you know what, the best man will win. Now, the weight that I did, the real expectation, of course, that I did have going into this fight was for Boots to win, right? I picked him to win. I favored him to win. I had no doubts in my mind, that he was my pick to win the fight, right? But I was also very aware, right, of Xander Zayas, the size, that he was going to be presenting. Xander is a big boy, right? I also took into consideration the fact that this is Boots's first fight at 54, brothers and sisters. We can't count that fight with damn Lima Bean. Okay. Lima Bean was, he barely lasted the round. It was like a 1 round fight. He was in there for like 15, not even, I don't know how many minutes, 3 minutes, 2, not even 2. A minute and a half, and then the fight was over. We can't consider that a real legit fight at 54. When it ended, as soon as the damn started, because Boots got Lima Bean the hell up out of there. So to me, this was the introduction into the 154-pound division from Boots Ennis, right? And so I took that into consideration when I looked at it from that gauge and from that view. So I was taking that into consideration, that this was going to be him fully having to acclimate, because I know he wasn't. I mean, anything can happen in boxing, but something was just telling me that he was not going to go in there and it'd be a 1 round type of fight like it was with Lima Bean. Like I was pretty much aligned with that. I kind of went into that knowing that, he was going to have some moments of having to dig deep. Like this was going to be a fight that he would have to stamp and solidify and prove himself within. And I was absolutely correct in that, even though ultimately, of course, he did the job and he did get the stoppage, right? A wonderful, stunning stoppage of Xander Zayas. But I knew it wasn't going to be anything that would mirror what he did with Lima Bean. So definitely that. But this fight exceeded the expectations that I did have, right? Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful showing from the King Boots. And, I got to give, the credit to Xander for the level of heart that he showed when he had it, right? Because we're going to get into when he lost it, and my views and thoughts on that as well. But that, his refusal in those moments where the fight literally could have been stopped, he stood up to that and tried to go toe to toe. Now, some people can say that that was a dire mistake on his end, right? And we could all probably conclude the same thing. But when he had the heart in those moments, he definitely showed it. So salute to Xander, for that much, right? Ultimately, he did quit. Okay, because he did, right? But, I salute the heart and I salute the fireworks that he called out of Boots as well, because Boots had to go in there and dig deep with him. You know what I'm saying? So wonderful, wonderful showing from both men. I definitely congratulate both of them for that display of warriorship for sure. I was not anticipating such a legendary output, you guys. It was like action-packed, non-stop from start to finish. Okay? Real talk, this fight kind of took a page out of the old school warrior guide. The old school warrior pamphlet to me. It was like reminiscent of like some old, the way them hands was going and the body shots and oh my God, somebody getting dropped, but then getting back up and getting back to the business. And oh, child. Oh my God. I absolutely love this fight, you guys. I can't say that enough. This definitely took a page out of that old soul, of boxing. And I loved every bit of it. You know what I mean? The men were at it from start to finish. I absolutely loved it. Boots Ennis is the truth, ladies and gentlemen. He is the truth. Okay. He's definitely special. He's definitely talented. Of course, we have a lot more to see of Boots Ennis, right? Because to me, this was his first real test, right? He was on a stage where he had to really be tested, I think in a way that differed from all of his other previous opponents. And he definitely passed the initiatory, process, into as far as how we're going to be able to gauge his greatness from this point onward, if you get my drift, right? I think he looked absolutely beautiful in there. Do you hear me? The boy looked, oh my God, he looked beautiful. And even in the moments where things started to look a little bit precarious for him, he still maintained a level of confidence that just allowed his, like, he was going to be unrelenting either way. Like, it's like, you gotta literally take me out of here to get me out of here, because other than that, I'm standing right here and I'm gonna get my get back no matter what. So I love, that he was taken into the deep waters, and I love how he navigated through the moments of being in deep water, only to come out prevailing and looking wonderful doing it. Absolutely beautiful work. Absolutely magnetic. He looked like a star in there, right? So that he has a bright, bright, bright horizon that I'm looking at. You know what I'm saying? That he's going to be stepping into, that he has already assumed at this point, which is wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful work. Big congratulations to Boots for a spectacular dub, brothers and sisters. Not any old dub. This was a spectacular victory. He put an exclamation point at the end of the statement that he made last night, you guys. Wonderful work. He certainly earned every bit of the credence that he has amassed off of the back of this victory. That pressure in that ring, y'all. Like, I'm talking and I'm looking at it in my mind, like, that pressure was just absolutely unrelenting, you guys. He managed to knock Xander down 3 times. 3 goddamn times. He done had that man's ass touch the canvas, including the first round. Because it could have very much, you know what I'm saying? It could have been a goddamn repeat of Lima Bean, because he did get the knockdown in that first round, right? But that spirit and that fire of Xander was like, nah, we got to push through this, right? And so, of course, he got back in the game. But man, oh man, you guys, that man Booth said, excuse me, I did not come here to play. Do you understand me? I did not come here to, sit up here and have tea with no goddamn body. I'm here to behead this nigga and walk away with these straps and the new. You hear me? I love that tenacity and the temerity that he showed up with, you guys. And you know what? Even in the presser, he was hella confident. I noticed that about him. He looked like he just wanted to, have fun. He looked like he just wanted to get in there and prove himself once again. Boots always tends to have, a lot of confidence going into a fight. But I definitely noticed, I don't know if it was maybe because of the birthday vibes, his birthday was the day before on Friday. So he just had an extra glow up about him that I noticed immediately. I noticed the confidence, and I noticed that there was a boost and an energy that wanted to, like, show and prove and show out differently than the other moments I've seen him very confident in, which is pretty much all the time. I've never seen him not confident, but like I said, he definitely had an extra layer of glow up on him. I see some people coming into the building that I want to shout out. Hold on one second before I continue going. Big love to the King Patrice once again. Who else we got up in here? I saw this thing. Oh, my beautiful sis, the lovely Queen Tay Brown, my Leo sis is in the building. She says, my Leo sis, SugarFreeMars. Infinite blessings to the Queen Tay. Oh my goodness, the beautiful king. Hey, beautiful King BF. Lovely to see you. He says, my goddess. Yes, my beautiful king. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. He says, salute to the beautiful goddess and salute to the chat. Thank you, King. Lovely to see my beautiful king as always. Oh my goodness, my gunner, my big stepper, the great Mike is in the building. He says, salute Sugar Free in chat. Thank you, guys. You guys make me smile when I see you. Thank you, beautiful king, for reminding me, because I forgot. I was good last week, but I dead ass forgot. Thank you so much for reminding the good people. Like, comment, and share, y'all. Thank you so much, King, for reminding me. All right, we got the King Ra 10 Toes on deck in the building with us as well. He says, salute to the Queen Sugar Free. We in the building. Thank you so much to the King Ra. Always lovely to see you, King. Thank you so much. We got somebody. What is this name? Okay. What am I supposed to do with this name? How am I supposed to greet you? I'm going to just call you Daron Fox. Okay. Salute to you. All right. Infinite blessings. He says, salute to the love, even though that name is diabolical. Salute to the lovely Queen Sugar Free Mars. Keep cooking these frauds per usual. Okay. You already know how I'm stepping, King. Infinite light to you. Thank you so much for carving out a bit of time to come spend with me and the family over here. It's definitely appreciated, King. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, the King Snoopy Mac is in the building, brothers and sisters. He says, Miss Queen Sugar Free, the boss with the hot sauce. Yes, King, all the time. DHP over everybody. Salute to the King Snoop. We got the messenger in the building as well. He says, gratitude to the channel and the chat. Infinite blessings to the messenger. Oh my goodness, my Queen Mama Love is in the building. Hey, Mama Love. She says, blessings, beautiful warrior. Thank you so much, Mama Love. Always good to see you. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope you've been having a lovely Sunday. Wherever you are, I'm sending you big, big hugs as usual, Mama Love. Thank you so much. And we got the lovely King Eric O in the building. He says, salute, Queen, with my roses. Thank you. Thank you so much, King Eric. Lovely to see you. Ain't it beautiful, King? Why is that man so diabolical with that name? And he don't give a damn, which makes it even more funny. Look what he says. He says, I'm finna change it. He says, I'm finna change it, Queen, out of respect for you. Oh my God. No, you keep it if you like it. If you like it, I love it. But I feel weird saying it. So just tell me what you want me to call you. I'm going to just call you Daron or Fox. Something. I'm going to shorten it up for you. Okay? We'll be able to work around it because I don't want you to change your whole name. If you rock with your name, it's your name. But I'll just give you a nickname. Salute to you, though, and lovely to see you again. Thank you so much. We have the King CBD in the building. Big blessings to the King CBD. He says, peace to the Queen, peace to the chat. Infinite, infinite blessings. He says, call me that? You mean Deron? Did I say that right? Deron. Tell me if I said that right. Because I hope it's like I'm not supposed to be saying it a whole nother way. Child, please. Did I say, is Deron? Do you want Deron or do you want? I think it's Deron. That's what it looks like to me, but you let me know, Ken. Yasir. Oh, this is Yasir? Hey, Yasir. Okay. This is Yasir. Hey, Yasir. Okay. Now I know who this is. Okay. Salute to the King Yasir. Who weren't you called Richardson Bitchins? Because that's who I know who is you. But you done changed it up again because you was Richardson goddamn Bitchins for like a good while. First you were Yasir, and then you changed that shit to, what was it, Chickens and Bitchins? Something crazy like that. And now you goddamn with this diabolical ass name. Salute and big love to the King Yasir. Who's I love your name as it is already. That's such a beautiful name. I've told you that before. Yasir is such a beautiful name. But now that I know that this is you with another diabolical ass name, yeah, I mean, don't change it up on me again, because I'm going to think you somebody else. Watching another damn 2 weeks, he's going to have another whole diabolical name that's even worse than this one and the previous one that he had. Infinite blessings and love to the King Yasir. That is so funny. He is so crazy, you guys. Blessings to you, King. Yes, you guys, where was I? The King Yasir is so diabolical. I love it though. Yeah, where did I leave off? Good family. Yeah, so that he got the knockdown in that first round, similar to, I think I was talking about the lima bean. But of course, the heart of Xander at that particular moment was fiery enough to continue, right? So there were moments where we saw Boots have to really go in, and override whatever output that Xander did manage to have in those first rounds, which was super interesting. I like seeing, I know fighters tend to, not fighters, but fans tend to like perfection, brothers and sisters. And to some degree, I can't say that that's a far-fetched desire for me, as well as a boxing diehard, you know what I mean? And actually, I wanted to, divulge a little bit of aspect of perfectionism within the disposition of fans a little bit later, as far as how they view the fighters. But I tend to like, I like the tug and pull of watching a fighter have to figure it out in real time. I really do like adjustments, brothers and sisters, because I know that things get heavy on the battlefield. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this is warfare, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a manicure or a day at the spa or sitting up under a palm tree with our lemonade and just taking in the cool breeze. This is battle. You understand? And so I like battle because it requires a level of intelligence to be used on site. It requires your senses to be tapped into on site, like nothing else in life can demand of you other than challenge. So I really like to watch fighters use their intellectual capacity, use their generalship in motion, align with their corner to figure these things out and how to override and confront the storm that they are, trying to tackle head on. And that's another reason why this fight was so satiating for me, because it wasn't an easy walk in the park. Both men wanted it so bad, so desperately. You know what I mean? And somebody had to be overcome. Somebody had to be made to submit. And I like that exchange. And I think that's really what was a pivotal energy for me within this fight that we got last night, which made it so fundamental and so beautiful an experience. A fundamental lesson in, warriorship. It's fights like this, where they got to get it in real time, you know what I'm saying? And just sometimes just go through hell and back to get the victory if need be. And Boots was definitely willing to do that. Can't so much talk about Xander, in the end because of how he went out. But definitely, like I was saying in the earlier rounds, he definitely had the spunk enough that kept him up and kept him on his feet until, of course, he decided to take a knee. Okay. But it is what it is. We'll get into that in just a bit. But, Boots, I love that he didn't come there to play. Okay. He came into that fight, with absolute domination on his mind. Okay. And Xander, real talk, he also showed a level that I hadn't really seen because, I really didn't look really too deeply into Xander's career until he became unified. That kind of put him on the map for me. Previous to that, I really wasn't checking for him. And of course, what really centralized him, as far as I am concerned, is, as far as like looking at him a little bit, with more severity, was when he was engaging with the young king, right? Because that fight was something that was thought to have some energy or potential to materialize at a particular point not too long ago. So that kind of made me look at him and kind of, watch a little bit of him a little bit more to see what he was like as far as an opponent for young king, right? And so what I saw of him last night was a gusto, right? I saw a tenacity and a grit that I don't think I've seen, at least I can't say that I've watched every fight of Xander, but I think the two that I had, looked at, I saw a grit in him that I had not seen in the fights that I managed to watch of him, which was wonderful, to see, him have to dig deep, at least in those, earlier moments within himself to pull out a little bit of his dog too, right? Because we got to see a big heart on display, of course, before the heart got deflated, right? But it was good in those moments to see what he was willing to do and sacrifice in those particular moments, of course, prior to him conceding and stuff like that. So that was interesting. And, that man came in big as hell, y'all. Did y'all see how goddamn big Xander was? God damn. He was kind of like he looked huge next to Boots. He looked absolutely huge to me. And I had heard that, he was going to, somebody confirmed this for me last evening, that Xander was going to be moving up. So I think this was his last fight at junior middleweight. I think he's going to actually move up to be a full middleweight up there at 160. And I think, he has free range to go up there and do what he wants to do, and to amass championship again, if that's something that he wants to do. So, he can go up there and do his thing if he had any particular troubles with weight or anything like that, or if he's just ready to be at a more comfortable weight for himself, then he can go ahead, up to 160 and do that. But good for him. He's still young. He has plenty of opportunity and free reign, to, get his scruples together, recalibrate and go ahead and go try to claim supremacy up there at 60, right? He's still young. He can do it. And he's still developing and he's still growing. So, there's definitely room for him some turf for him to capture over there in the division above. Also, in addition to him being fucking massive as hell, god damn, that chin was something amazing until, it gave out, I guess. But damn, the shots that man was taking for Boots had me like, damn, Boots, are you hitting this motherfucker hard enough? Did y'all see the shots that damn Xander was taking? God damn. Like, and even after he went down, like in the first round, and what was that? What was it? The third round or something like that? I think it was the first, the third, and the seventh he went down, something like that. But damn, even when he went down, how he got back up and was still applying that pressure. I was like, oh, the first two times he went down, I was like, wow, how did he get, and even when he did, because in the fifth round, he didn't get knocked down in the fifth round, if I'm not mistaken, but he was goddamn getting pummeled, brothers and sisters, and that man wasn't going nowhere. He stayed right in front of Boots that whole time. Even in the moment where we thought the ref was going to call that fight in the fifth, brothers and sisters, that man was eating some devastating punches from Boots, brothers and sisters. Damn. Shout out to his chin, at least, in that moment, right? Interesting stuff. I was like, damn, Boots, are you going to be able to get this man out of here? Especially when he was responding with his own onslaught to Boots. And Boots was looking like he was getting in trouble. I started getting worried. I'm like, damn, is this motherfucker on, you know what I mean? This nigga's chin is diabolical. Such an action-packed fight, you guys. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful warriorship. He did not give up, you know what I'm saying, in that particular moment in the fifth round, which I thought that if he was going to give up, I thought that it should have been in the fifth round, because that's when it looked like, hell done froze over for him, and that, he should have just threw in his own goddamn towel at that particular point. But I thought it was interesting, that he didn't give up there, but that he wound up, kind of giving up in that seventh round. I thought that was pretty interesting. But the warriorship was lovely from him for as long as it lasted, right? That's all I could say to that. I'm definitely interested in seeing what's in store for the King Boots, brothers and sisters, at 154. 154 right now really has some heat going on there, right? We got Fundora, right, with the WBC strap. We got Boots with that WBA. We got Josh Kelly. I think he has the IBF. So there's some pressure happening there, brothers and sisters. 154 is taking shape quite nicely, if I may say so. In the post-fight, I'm not sure if you guys saw this. Did you guys see that Boots mentioned that he has his sights on undisputed within the division? Which I was absolutely ecstatic to hear, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. How dope was that? I was like, yes, undisputed. I want to hear that. That's the type of talk that you got to talk to me nice with. All right. Talk to me nice with the undisputed, because I like to see things of legacy. I like to see things of, supremacy. The claiming of one's turf is everything that I'm about as a diehard, and it's everything that I want to support within my fighters. So I was so glad to hear that he was on the quest for undisputed. Once again, of course, we were pulling for Boots to claim the undisputed crown at welterweight, but he diverted from that decision upon his, I don't know, maybe it was a whim of I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a whim. Maybe, as some people, have said, he said it, that it had to do with, with health and feeling whatever it was, for the reason why he kind of ditched welterweight in order to go up to the 54 or whatever. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, he diverted the path of undisputed, the very undisputed that he was said, he was so adamant about claiming at welterweight. He wound up, going elsewhere, moving up in a division or whatever. And he bypassed the opportunity to do that at welterweight after he had unified with Stanley Onus. And then ultimately, I think it was last June, if I'm not mistaken, that he had officially, gone up to 54 after being propositioned to fight the young king, right? Which was interesting in and of itself. And of course, he did that also right off of the back, I want to say maybe a week or two after Brian Norman had his stunning knockout victory over Haki Saki. All right. But either way, he didn't want, the business over there at welterweight. So he ditched the plans for undisputed. Now he's in a whole new weight class. So I'm glad that he has his sights set on undisputed again. So what he was not able to do, or what he did not want to do at welterweight, that he is reassessing, his goals and his compass so that he could accomplish undisputed this time at his new weight class of 54, which is interesting. So you guys know I'm going to be 10 toes in support of that for sure. Right? I'm looking forward to see him accomplish supremacy, brothers and sisters. Like I said, that's what I am all about. Now, also in that post presser, ladies and gentlemen, I got to keep it a buck. What I did not like during the post-fight interview was the mentioning of Virgil Ortiz. Am I the only one that felt that way? Am I the only one that felt that way? I don't give a fuck about no goddamn Virgil Ortiz, brothers and sisters, at this particular moment. I really just don't. Off of the back of such an emphatic, formative, gargantuan win for you in your career, right? The motherfucker who I'm looking for you to call out is the head of another goddamn king. I'm not looking for you to call no damn lackey. You know what I mean? And respect to Virgil, because I rocked with Virgil Ortiz. I like Virgil Ortiz. You know what I mean? I like his fight style. I like him, period. I like his fights. You know what I'm saying? And I was definitely interested and engaged in and enthralled by the possibility of them, meeting one day and colliding one day. But that has long ended. That ship has long sailed for me, brothers and sisters, considering all of the folly and all of the malarkey that has been withholding the fight's materialization all of this goddamn time. So that I've completely lost interest in that fight as of now, brothers and sisters. No goddamn cap. I don't want to see you talk about no god. You just beat the goddamn unified champion up in here. And the new two-time unified champion. That's you. What the fuck are you calling out goddamn Virgil Ortiz? A nigga, first of all, who ain't got no strap. And a nigga who ain't never had a fucking strap in his life. You feel me? Like, I did not like that moment. I'm like, what is going on here? I'm sitting up there looking for him to say, yo, bring on the goddamn tall green giant, right? And then bring on Josh Kelly. I want the Kings or whatever, undisputed. What's the point of having mentioned undisputed, brothers and sisters, if he wasn't going to call for the heads of the other Kings? I did not like that moment. Got to keep it an absolute buck with you guys. I am no longer vying for the fight with Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis, ladies and gentlemen. Win has absolutely been taken out of my sails for that bout. Okay? There has been far too much reticence surrounding that fight's concretization for the past, I want to say 2 years. It's been a lingering, right? Because way before Boots transitioned up to 54, brothers and sisters, there were talks, of him going up to fight Virgil, right? And that was right in the thick of him, negotiating, the prospective fight between Brian Norman at that particular time, even though it didn't materialize. He and Brian Norman were like talking, and then they were still like, people saying, well, we have the Virgil fight on the horizon. You remember that? Just like, how long have these motherfuckers been talking? It's just ridiculous to me that all of these talks and all of the back and forth that's been happening for something like a year and a half, 2 years, something like that. Their names have been synonymous with each other for I don't know how long, right? So it's like, and then, child, yeah, that shit pissed me off last night. I'm not even gonna lie. Like Virgil, that's the last fucking name I want to hear called right now. Okay? Because apparently every time you guys get together, or every time you guys think that you're going to get together, the fucking ship sails before it even takes the fuck off. You know what I mean? That shit is weird to me. There's an inability to concretize a match between those two men for whatever reason, right? We know Oscar De La goddamn Redbottom wants nothing to do with that fight. He sued his own goddamn fighter in Ortiz to keep him away from Boots. Okay? Like, what the hell is going on here? Why would he still, or why would Eddie Hearn, Eddie the scammer, still be pushing for a fight that the motherfucker Ortiz was sued for in order to stay away from, ladies and gentlemen? How the fuck does it make sense to even mention Ortiz's name at this time? You know what I mean? These niggas done had all types of futile back and forths. A whole bunch of, these niggas, if you recall, had a fruitless ass face off not too long ago. You remember these motherfuckers in the middle of the goddamn ring, acting like they was about to get it popping, only for nothing to materialize, whatever. What is going on? Everything has been to absolutely no avail. I'm absolutely over that fight, y'all. I cannot say that enough. You know what I mean? Should that fight ever be made in the future, it is what it is, right? I'm not stopping nothing. So that if that were to ever, circle back around, at a particular point, fine, that is what it is. But I'm certainly not motherfucking waving a flag in the air for that shit. You ain't gonna ever hear me demand a fight with Virgil Ortiz at all. I'm much more interested in Boots' attainment of undisputed. Virgil Ortiz brings absolutely nothing to the table, ladies and gentlemen. Undisputed. Once he said that, once he solidified and stamped that undisputed is on his quest, or is the quest for him at 54, that is the objective at hand. I'm not looking at any outside frivolous, ventures or distractions, if you will. Virgil has absolutely no strap, brothers and sisters. He's never motherfucking fought for a title in his career. I am quite appalled, by the thought of that he would be mentioned in any way after such a, monumental moment for him. Right? Like I said, even though I think Virgil is a really good fighter, you know what I mean? I think it'd be an electrifying fight if they were to ever meet one day, but that's not something I'm beating anybody's door down for, not at the moment. You know what I mean? Yeah, way, 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 way bigger fish to fry, brothers and sisters. And Virg brings nothing to the table but a history of beef between them. He brings nothing to the table other than that their names have been circling each other for, however many years it's been now, maybe 3 years, something like that. Definitely within the past, 2 years for certain, right? When they were, seemingly getting closer to concretizing a bout between them. But no, I'm not interested in that whatever. Now, I wonder if, speaking of Virgil, is Virgil going to fucking face Fundora, ladies and gentlemen? How long is this nigga going to be the interim? He should be in the fucking Guinness Book World of Fame, right? Guinness Book of motherfucking world records when it comes to being the interim motherfucking champion. This nigga's the poster boy for interim non-fucking real champion. Can you go fight fucking Fundora? Go get a damn strap for once in your damn life. You know what I'm saying? He's the interim champion to Sebastian Fundora, ladies and gentlemen. Is he going to fight Fundora? Or is he just going to keep sitting around, following Oscar around and getting sued by goddamn Oscar De La Redbottom all goddamn day? Go fight fucking Fundora. Obviously, De La Redbottom does not want him fighting no damn Boots Ennis. Not anytime soon, from what it seems. Go tackle the fucking Green Giant. Go get the damn Jolly Green Giant and go handle that. You know what I'm saying? And try to, amass a level of credence for yourself with some level of championship for the first time in your career. Since you can't get Boots. It's like, one of these niggas going to fight. I don't get that. I think that's who he should have his sights set on, at the particular moment, since Boots seems like, such a feat, to the head of Golden Boy. Now, if that's the fight that can be made between Virgil and Fundora, then it makes all the sense in the world to rally around a fight with Boots. If Virgil were to beat Fundora, that's when you will see Sugar Free 10 Toes talk about set it up between him and Boots. But until then, it really serves no purpose, right? I don't see where the call for it or a demand for it is substantial. It's just not, in my view. It absolutely isn't. Virgil Ortiz and Boots Ennis makes absolutely no sense. It's immaterial in every way to me. It doesn't have any real life to it anymore. Maybe last year they could have gotten away with that because, of course, that's before Boots amassed championship at 54, so it made sense. But now that he is a champion, now that he is not only champion but has 2 belts, doesn't make sense to me. I think Virg should go handle that Fundora work. You know what I mean? Other than that, anything else is ill-founded and gratuitous to me. But the fact that Virgil's name was even mentioned, like I said, was totally asinine. I think that Boots should have called out Josh Kelly and he should have called out the other king. You know what I mean? If anything else. But Josh Kelly for me really is on my list as far as who I think would be a wonderful opponent for him to face next, as far as the champions are concerned. Because it's like I said, what was the point of, proclaiming his plans for Undisputed if he wasn't going to say, I want to add a third strap to my waist? You know what I mean? That's the moment to do that. Oh, I got two in one night. Where's that third king at? Let me behead him. I'm gonna have his fucking belt too. Line Josh Kelly, puss ass up so I could take care of his ass too. Line him the fuck up. That's the type of energy I wanted to see. Not no goddamn Virgil brothers and sisters. Makes no sense. Absolutely no sense whatsoever. And then what I also noticed was that he turned, did you guys see this? He turned to Eddie Hearn. He looked at goddamn Eddie the scammer and says, hey, Eddie, what do you think? I think when the announcer had asked him, like, what's next? Who do you want next? Are you considering, anybody? He looks at goddamn Eddie the scammer and says, what you think? You think, Virgil, you want to do Virgil? Well, we can do Virgil. We can get straps. It's whatever Eddie wants. It's whatever Eddie wants, is what he said. I'm like, huh? Whatever Eddie the scammer wants. Oh, God, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's another thing that took the wind out of my sails in here and now. I'm like, what the fuck you mean, whatever Eddie wants? I was not having that, brothers and sisters. I didn't like it. I don't like it now. Ladies and gentlemen, Eddie the scammer cannot be trusted. Eddie the damn scammer will stall that man out. If you give that man an ounce of leeway, he will take an inch and run 1,000 miles with that shit. Fuck a mile. 1,000 goddamn miles on your ass and leave you hanging right on the goddamn wayside. You can't trust no damn Eddie the scammer, whatever he wants. Why does he have so much free reign? Why is Boots giving that man such free reign like this? That man can't be given that type of leeway. Fuck around and have Boots out here waiting until he got gray in his beard before he gets an opportunity, at Undisputed. You better put your foot on the fucking gas now and call out the names of these goddamn champions so that you can get the Undisputed, because Eddie Hearn will swerve your ass real quick and have you hanging all up in the balance. And then you be sitting up there fucking 55 years old talking about, oh, well, I could have had Undisputed, in my day. I could have, I should have, and I would have. Don't leave nothing to no damn Eddie Hearn. Put the pressure on. Put the damn pressure on. That man cannot be trusted as far as he can be thrown, brothers and sisters. But anyway, aside from that, I was definitely impressed by the fight itself. And all in all, I'm looking forward to what's next for him. I'm loving the momentum that Boots has garnered for himself off of the back of this victory with that wonderful performance. It's definitely well-deserved, the credence that he's being given right now. I think that he made an indelible mark with that performance, as the prominent face of 154, no doubt, right? For me, it's obvious that it is Boots and Fundora that are really the pressure and the weight of the 154-pound division as far as stature and credibility and reputation, but most certainly, I could say without a shadow of a doubt that Boots is the face of the 154 division, right? The most notable face. That's kind of like the shining crown of 154 right now, which is a good position to see him in. And I think that an eventual collision between he and Fundora, right, between those two warriors is going to be absolutely massive fight. And that's really the one that is going to mark and stamp Boots as the king, okay, is a defeat over the Jolly Green Giant. But in the interim, I think as far as if I had my choice, I would love to see him get in there with Josh Kelly. I think that'll be a really good fight too, right? Josh Kelly is a good fighter. I like his style. And I think it'll be an interesting dynamic for Boots in the ring because he's definitely a skilled fighter, Josh Kelly. So wonderful work. But I think as far as, Fundora and Virgil, I think that that's something that should be taken care of first before, any talk is had, moving forward about a, prospective fight with Boots and Virgil. What do you guys think? Did you guys think that that call out was worth anything? The Virgil call out? Let me check in with the good family. Get your thoughts on that. Or just what you guys thought of the fight in general. Let me see. salute, y'all. We got the 4-ounce sniper. I see you, King. Thank you so much for joining. I see y'all talking. TZ Frank, I see you, King. Lovely to see you. Thank you for stopping by. The King Bud. Big blessings to the King Bud. Yes, that's what I was saying, TZ. That extra weight was definitely allowing for the absorption of some of that pressure that he was getting from Boots. 1,000%. 1,000%, yo. Because that was diabolical. Some of the shots that he was eating in those initial rounds was like, damn, how is this man even still going? That man was definitely massive in that ring, for sure. Salute to Delano. I see you. He says, good evening, Sugar Free. Why are people, constraining on Boots? Constraining. That's not a word I could say I've ever heard before. Constraining on Boots. Being stunned in the third round when he had totally dominated a unified champion that was 30 pounds bigger than him. This is blasphemy. Okay, I would be able to better answer that if you can elaborate on what you were trying to say with the word constraining, because that isn't anything I can account for. So I can't answer the question if I don't know what you were trying to get out there. But salute to you, and I'll be looking at the comments for your elaboration or clarification. Let's see who else we got up in here. The King Ra, he says, yes, that was corny. Not that they brought him up, but how? That was corny. Not that they brought him up, but how? Oh, you're talking about Boots. Sorry, I had to read that back. Yes. That was super corny how they brought him up. And how, most importantly, as you emphasized, King Ra. I'm like, who gives a damn about some goddamn Virgil Order? Nobody gives a damn. This man just became unified champion. He done explained that Undisputed is something on his purview. Why are we not talking about another champion? Why is another name of a champion not being called or highlighted in this moment? Just didn't make sense to me. Made absolutely no sense to me, King Rock. Couldn't agree more. Absolutely couldn't agree more. Okay. Salute to Jaguar. He says, Virgil been a pro for 10 years and no belt ever. 140, 147, and 154. That's strange. I could not have said it better, Jaguar. What is going on with that man? And they love him. And this man has no accreditation whatsoever to his stature in the sport, other than, having some power and being able to fight. It's like, okay, you can fight. Yes. You know what I mean? I like his fight style and stuff like that. I think he's a really good fighter, actually. Right? But let's put some hardware. Let's attach some accreditation, to these abilities. You got to see of what people are made via the accomplishment of the titles, right? Because that's what solidifies and stamps every warrior. It's like going, watching basketball and nobody ever attaining any fucking championship, but they got all the motherfucking hoopla surrounded around them and they ain't got no goddamn ring. It's like, excuse me, are you solidified via the ring or the championship or whatever it may be or not? Absolutely correct, Jaguar. Right? Salute to Growing with Soul in the building, who says, blessings, great sister Sugar Free. Infinite blessings to you. I love that name, Growing with Soul. Dope name. Salute, Joe. I see you. He says, salute. Great fights last night. Yeah, my good people I see you guys love the fight just as much as I did. Spectacular night of boxing between those two men. Boots is definitely something special and something to reckon with. I can't wait to see what's in store for him. The King, Patrice, my good brother, he says, I think a sleeper fight is Boots versus Earl. If Earl comes out and stomps on Zoo, Spence and Boots might clash in a great fight soon. You know what, King Patrice, my soul brother? I was thinking the same thing last night. I can't front. EJ definitely came to mind. I was like, ooh, a fight with EJ, right? Um, of course, because their names have been, in tandem for countless years. Just like it was the Trinity, really. It was EJ and Bud, and of course Boots, because everybody's like, okay, well, they have to fight each other, right? So EJ definitely came to mind. We'll see what happens. You know who else came to mind as well? Charlo. Charlo came to my mind as well, right? Because Charlo hasn't been, I ride hard for Mel Charlo because he has not been beheaded, brothers and sisters. Nobody beheaded Jamel Charlo at 154, right? His task that he tried to attempt, the dragon he tried to attempt slaying in Canelo Alvarez up there in the 68 was like an ad hoc project. It wasn't anything. I mean, it counts, of course, right? He lost to Canelo, but it was ad hoc. It was like an extracurricular activity for me. You know what I'm saying? So that I count it, but then I don't count it as far as like him being beheaded in his weight class, because he wasn't. He was not taken down by anybody. Nobody beheaded Jamel Charlo in his home turf. Nobody has done it. So that I still consider him, when I think about the 154-pound division. So yes, in addition to me thinking about EJ last evening when I saw, Boots' wonderful victory and stuff like that, I also thought about Charlo. I'm like, that'll be a wonderful fight as well. I would love to see Mel Charlo get up in there and mix it up with Boots. Just like I would love to see EJ if that's on the horizon at some particular point, right? Because EJ isn't necessarily at 54. He's fighting at a catch weight, and I'm not sure if he is going to be, if he even remains after this Tszyu fight. I'm wondering if he'll campaign at 160, right? Because I think he's what's the fight? Where's the fight with Tszyu taking place at? I want to say is it 157, something like that? Which is pretty much 160, right? So if EJ remains, I couldn't agree more. That'll be a beautiful, beautiful perspective bout between EJ and Boots Ennis, right? That'll be a wonderful fight. Wonderful, wonderful fight. Let's see what else the good family is saying. G. McCall said, hells no. Let's see who else we got up in here. Cedric is in the building. Infinite blessings to you. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Anthony Latham, I see you. Salute to you as well. Oh my goodness, the King Uncommon is up in the building. Salute to you. He says, salute to the Warrior Queen. Peace and blessings to the chat. Smash the like button, family. Definitely smash the like button, you guys, if you haven't already. All right, let's continue. Oh, hold on. Let me get my charger, you guys. Wouldn't want this thing shutting off on the goddess. Okay, so tell me if you guys found this to be interesting, because I'm certain that a lot of you have either heard it or you guys have posited your own thoughts that mirror this particular perspective that I hear going on and around. Let's see. So I've been coming across some interesting, things across social media concerning Boots and his victory, right? Permeating the landscape in these boxing streets. And some of the things that I have been coming across happen to include, right, which is only natural, some laments, you guys, from, boxing fans about Boots and, how they feel about they feel that there is an over focus that he has on his output, on his aggression, and there is not enough emphasis, a lot of critique going on in the realm and the matter of his defense or lack thereof during his fights. So there's a lot of laments that I'm seeing that people have with Boots, even though majoritively speaking, people are satisfied with it. There are people who are just like, low-key kind of shredding him a little bit across social media. Once again, similar to that of what they were doing in the Karen fight, with the cries of, oh, you get hit too much, blah, blah, blah. Boots gets hit too much and stuff like that. And, we're hearing it, like I said, just like we, heard it right off of the back of the Karen fight. Now, I wanted to share a little bit of thoughts on this because I'm kind of dualistic in my approach in looking at both sides. I can kind of see and some truth to it all, right? Now, while I definitely can attribute a lot of truth to that statement, because I agree with the aspect of his defense, just in noticing the things about Boots over the past few years, and even in last night, and engaging with the fight and in looking at some of the shots that he took, and so forth and so on, and what could have been tightened up, this, that, and the third, and all of that. But I'm also in line as well, you guys, with the notion that this is elite level boxing. You understand what I'm saying? This is elite level boxing. And as Boots continues to step up his competition, ladies and gentlemen, these things will be on the table. Okay. And I think that that's something that I don't know why it's not as acceptable when it concerns, or when it's pertaining certain elite Black fighters, as opposed to, let's say non-Black fighters, right? The standards are definitely different, and we can run the gamut on that. And I'm sure I didn't got to go in depth about that, because my good family already knows what time it is as far as that concern, and as far as the double standards are concerned as well, right? So that, Xander, let's say, was biggest. How do I want to say this? I would say that that's Boots's largest test so far, was this fight with Xander, right? So that they were not in there playing patty cake, brothers and sisters, right? They were in there thugging it out, and they were, it got, pretty dirty, and it got pretty wobbly and even scary, at particular moments. Things were laced in uncertainty, right? But you're going to be hit, brothers and sisters. This is boxing, right? And they'll absolutely and without a doubt be some significant shots that you will have to deal with as a fighter in real time on the battlefield, period. I don't give a damn how highly regarded one's defensive skills are. I don't care how much we want to see perfection as a boxing fan in our favorite fighters, ladies and gentlemen. The warrior in the ring will be hit. And on this elite level, on the main stage, under the big lights, okay, there is bound to be some pressure that they are going to have to deal with and respond to. Now, of course, that is not to say that, one is just going to totally jettison, it's okay for them to just jettison and abandon their prowess, abandon their expertise, abandon effective defense just because they're on the elite level, and, wants to just expect to get hit and that's it. So that it's okay for you to just, be blindsided and not use your defensive intelligence. That's not at all what I'm saying. You better motherfucking very well, especially because you're at the elite level, be engaging in some sound, effective defense, footwork, and every goddamn other fundamental that's going to keep your ass alive and hopefully victorious at the end of this. So I'm not saying that to say that that should be jettisoned or bypassed or overlooked or let go of in any way. And I most certainly, as I stated earlier, noticed how Boots was getting tagged with some goddamn straights, brothers and sisters, at particular moments, head getting all the way popped the fuck back, right? Especially in that particular moment. I think that was a jab that caught Boots, and his head popped all the way goddamn back, right? Eating some big shots from Xander himself. So that I'm of course privy to that, right? There's of course the moment that we thought that Boots was going to go down his goddamn self, right? When he looked like he got wobbled and he had to kind of like clinch on Xander. So that these things I'm definitely aware of. And it's absolutely goes without saying that Boots definitely has to lock in on how to further insert some more defensive protection for himself when he is in battle, so that he can be as protected as possible. Okay. There were even moments I could, point to where he had his hands down, right? Face just all open, where he's moving his head as defense. He's thinking the defense is just turning his head to the side, like he did in that moment where he was kind of like, showboating a little bit with Xander. You remember that? Where he just kind of stood there and leaned back and then turned his head again, leaning back and stuff like that. So that, these things are, to be accounted for. Right? So that his critique, from the fans that I have been coming across, the logical ones at least, it's based and rooted in, some honest analysis, right? But there's also the base of fanship, brothers and sisters, that I have come across that how can I say this? Let's say some perspective surrounding Boots and this whole he gets hit too much notion that's been going around on social media seem to be from a group of people, a mindset that denotes a level of perfection, a calling for a level of perfection that isn't necessarily applied or demanded of other fighters across the board. You get what I'm saying? Far too often, when non-Black fighters are in an all-out war, for example, similar to that of what Boots and Xander provided last night in their warriorship, right? When we see non-Black fighters go in there and they have to go toe-to-toe, they banging it out or they're doing whatever it is that they are doing in those, type of heated exchanges, heated, passionate exchanges in war, we don't hear any goddamn thing except adulation for those men when they are in these types of exchanges, right? Whether it's a moment or for a few seconds where they have it, or whether it's from start to finish, blow by blow type of fight. We don't hear anything but praise for those men after going through those exchanges. In fact, they are congratulated and upheld because they are willing to showcase that level of heat and excitement with another person in front of them, right? So that they are held up, in other words, ladies and gentlemen. Even if they both got hit upside the head 1,000 goddamn times, don't matter. They are praised and held up and said, oh my goodness, look at the valor of those men. Look at the heat that they were willing to walk through with each other, right? Even if it's nothing short of a slugfest, a robotic, one-dimensional, myopic type of fight, they are congratulated. They are praised for that level of warriorship, ladies and gentlemen. They are called warriors, right? There are all types of cries of, oh my God, what a show. Look at the lion heart, right? This is what boxing is, a wonderful heated exchange, right? These are the type of things that we hear. So that there are no quarrels, in other words, brothers and sisters. There are no laments about the heat of passionate exchange between non-Black fighters, okay? Whatever level they may be on, the mid-tier or the elite tier of people outside of our culture. Everybody seems to be able to sit back and literally watch and enjoy the fireworks between the two men in battle. It's almost as if, ladies and gentlemen, you tell me if you agree. It's as if elite Black fighters are castigated. It's not as if, right? Because this is what it comes down to. The fact that elite Black fighters are far more likely to be castigated for displaying moments of passionate displays than anybody else. The same passionate displays that get crazed attention, crazed applaud for, we seem to be lambasted for. Isn't that interesting? I just thought that that's interesting. And this is not, this is not me waving a flag for saying don't be defensively sound. I just wanted to put a juxtaposition on the stage for us to dissect, right? So that we can view it for what it is, because these things are happening in real time and they happen all the time, right? And we see it again just off of the show that we got last night. There are droves and droves and droves of conversations and dispositions, mirroring this concept. So that it's a twisted double-edged sword that I notice, in other words. Because if an elite Black warrior is fiery and going for blood to the capacity that we see given from anybody else outside of the culture, the elite Black fighter, unlike anybody else not of the culture, is highly criticized. And he is deemed careless as a fighter. Brothers and sisters, you tell me if I'm capping. The same passion that they congratulate and applaud for by the droves is the same trait and characteristic that will be deemed carelessness when it's exhibited and exemplified by an elite Black fighter. They will say that he is giving a lack of attention to detail. He is not showing his skill, this, that, and the third, right? But then get this, ladies and gentlemen, the tricky part is that not only will he be lambasted for showing that, but get this, when he is not engaging in, let's say, the heat of fiery exchange, going blow for blow, toe to toe. Let's say it's a Black elite fighter that's not on that type of time, but it's an elite Black fighter that's showing a level of meticulousness, right? Approaching it from more of a sniper-like, calculated, logical, defensively sound angle. Then that same fighter who is exhibiting a level of meticulousness and precision and cleanliness, if you will, is also lambasted and censured for being having too much fucking footwork. For not getting hit. They are lambasted for not getting hit. Oh, you scared to get hit. You just don't want to be touched. You're running or you're boring, right? The famous trope and label that they like to throw on elite Black fighters who don't engage necessarily, let's say, blindly in, toe-to-toe, senseless, robotic exchanges or whatever have you, right? So that the elite Black fighter is going to be castigated, brothers and sisters, whether he is fiery and passionate in his displays or whether he is a meticulous tactician. The censuring is going to happen where that is not the case for anybody else outside of the culture, right? They're going to be upheld for a level of meticulousness and prowess and being, showing qualities of a pure boxer. And they're also going to be upheld for being fiery and going blow for blow with an opponent. That's how it works when we deal with people outside of our culture. That's how the boxing world deals with them, right? And unfortunately, that's how a lot of Black fans, have accepted what they have been inculcated by concerning that view. So that I was just looking at the dynamic of that, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to bring that to the table because it's kind of difficult to miss it when you're on social media. Okay, if any of you guys got Twitter or whatever have you, or you guys been seeing, any type of comments or whether it's on channels or wherever, right? But that the disposition prevails right now, once again. Okay, so that the standard extends, expands, or contracts according to the fighter that's being observed, right? When we are considering the Black versus non-Black dynamic. The standards contract or expand according to the culture we are talking about, according to the fighter in view. You understand? That's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. And I charge all Black boxing so-called fans to exert their awareness levels upon this, right? Because we are the hardest on ourselves, not only because of our own demands as being boxing fans who want to see and demand excellence from our fighters, but we also have the dual notion of everything that we haven't inherited from the media, everything that has been inculcated into us by way of the media, so that we have our own demands, but we have also the pressures to accept what we are being constantly told and fed by the media, right? Which is this crazy, ridiculous notion of absolute perfection when it comes to us and us alone, a standard that no other fighter has to really carry anywhere near to the degree that we have to as fighters, right? So I thought that was interesting because the partisan is thick in the air, you know what I mean? And like I said, we can demand all the, excellence from our fighters that we want to, and we should. As fight fans, right? That's just in general, every fight fan should demand that of their fighters. Yes, let's go out there and let's do it right. And, we want to see you, exhibit your prowess and your expertise and stuff like that. We want to see sharpness and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that, whatever, right? We want to ensure that they are sound in their warriorship, whether defensively, offensively, fundamentally, in every other way possible, right? But what I'm saying is let's not pull the color from the canvas, right? Let's not pull the color from the canvas. There are always things to adjust and work on, brothers and sisters, so that the idea of perfection is what I am tackling, the perfectionism. There is no perfection. The only perfection is the process. The perfection is the process of being made. That is the continuousness of being made is the perfection, right? The editing, the trial and error. the getting in there and doing the do battle, right? That's the perfection. That's what I wanted to highlight as far as that dynamic is concerned. And interestingly enough, now that I'm on this, I think we have to also look at how there are no lamentations geared towards Xander Zayas. So that this is the juxtaposition that I wanted to present to you. This is the dichotomy that I want to make plain to you, because it is a dichotomy, brothers and sisters. It's an absolute divide, a 1000% split between approach when it comes to the elite Black warrior and the non-Black warrior. There are no lamentations being thrown at Xander Zayas, and he got defeated, ladies and gentlemen. All I hear being extended towards Zayas is grace, ladies and gentlemen. Not to say that he does not deserve it, because he fought until he could not fight, or until he felt he could not fight anymore. So that he deserves the grace, right? But why didn't Young King get grace? Right? Why doesn't Boots get grace? The total extent of grace. And he is the victor. He's the one that won last night. Why are there criticisms being thrown at him and not on the defeated one? You know what I'm saying? How are we throwing roses at Xander and not at Boots? And this is not to say that I don't know that, the theme of heavy is the head that wears the crown, because yes, Boots has been crowned king. You know what I'm saying? So that there are going to be pressures and expectations placed on him that, of course, Xander wouldn't get because he was defeated, right? It's not to say that I'm overlooking that at all. I just want to look clearly at the dichotomy at hand and how we tend to feed into this and keep it going. We propel it forward, particularly when it comes to people of our culture versus people not of our culture, and how the general boxing world makes the exceptions time and time again. But we don't seem to be able to get grace, whether we're fucking victorious or not. That is the problem, brothers and sisters, that I'm highlighting right now. Okay? There are no tweets, for example, ladies and gentlemen. There are no synopses. There is no fine comb being used to dissect and inspect what Xander did not do. There is no fine comb or stipulation on what he ought to have done. No real gauging into his imperfections. And he came up short, ladies and gentlemen. Not only did he come up short, he fucking quit. He quit, brothers and sisters. Nobody gonna talk about that? He quit on his goddamn knees, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? And this is not a slight or a demeaning, moment for me to go ahead and go take shot. We just talking, we just calling it for what it is. This is what happened last night. It's the reality of what happened. You know what I mean? Nobody is doing this with Xander. And he quit. Xander Zayas gets to go back home and rebuild in peace. That's what he gets to do. Boots, meanwhile, gets to take those two beautiful straps that he conquered and claimed last night, right? With his wonderful, glorious crown shining. He gets to go back home with that, with the proud confidence of his victory and the spoils of his victory, right? But he also gets a whole fucking bag full of critique. Some warranted, some unwarranted, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, I'm speaking about the things unwarranted. That's in that bag. Right? So that the dichotomy is evident there, brothers and sisters. Nobody is calling, for another example, Xander Chinny. Did anybody hear Xander Zayas get called, motherfucking, where's this nigga's chin at? Glass chin? Between last night and now? I have heard nobody call Xander Chinny. I have not heard that word used yet, ladies and gentlemen. If we're going to keep it a buck. Facts or no? Salute to the King, TD. Is this your first time here, King TD? Salute to the King, TD. Lovely to see you. Infinite blessings to the King. That's a nice surprise. I just glanced over. Salute to the King Khalid, also in the building. Salute to Jay the Man, as I call him, in the building. And Aaron, I see you guys. Jay Hancock. You guys make me smile when I see you. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. He says, yes. Thank you so much, King TD, for joining. It's lovely to see you. Appreciate you. Hopefully this is not your last time. Blessings to you, King. You know what I'm saying? So that, we have not heard these words for Xander Zayas. And he should not be called chinny, and he should not be lambasted or made fun of or anything like that. That's not anything I would ever wish on any particular fighter. That is a true fighter, that is. Not a fucking scumbag, right? Like racist Riri. You know what I'm saying? Drug cheating ass Riri or whatever have you. But a clean, upright, you know what I'm saying? Fighter like Zayas, young, you know what I'm saying, driven fighter. No, he should not be ever lambasted or anything like that with no memes or made fun of. So that's not to say that he should be having, these people, on his ass and making fun of him and doing all that fucking juvenile shit that they was trying to do to Devin, or that they were doing to EJ, when he had lost to Bud or whatever have you. None of that stuff. But I'm saying that these things are not on the table, and that is for a reason. That's what I want to highlight, because, the awareness and cognizance has to be activated, brothers and sisters. That's what we do on this channel. You understand? So that's what's interesting to me. No cries of Xander Zayas being chinny or anything else. Not one word of chinny was mentioned. Okay? The man was knocked down 3 times. Yes, it's war, but this is also the reality that he was knocked down 3 times. And he ultimately gave up in the 7th round, right? Which led his corner to throw in the towel upon seeing the look on his face. And he just had the posture of defeat that kind of accepted, the call of his corner or whatever have you. Right. But that was, I'm saying, that was his choice. And that's ultimately what happened. He should not be castigated, and lambasted for that or deemed unfit. No, he can still have a career. He still has, he has a bright future, whatever have you. Right. But why can we be so graceful? Why is the boxing world? I mean, intelligent, mature people are going to be graceful either way. It doesn't matter who the fuck it is. We're not out here to be, censuring and berating fighters, because we're mature people. But these immature, juvenile, imbecilic people who wanted to degrade, and uphold, a position of somebody like the young king being devalued and debased as a fighter and as a man, seeing him in a compromised position, satiated those people, brothers and sisters, and it still does. We still see memes of young king being spewed around whenever they have nothing logical or intelligent to say. They put up the meme of Devin Haney on the ground. We still see that right now, and this is 2 years later, right? But we will never see any meme of Xander Zayas. And we shouldn't. We shouldn't see any memes of Xander Zayas. And that means that we shouldn't see any memes of Devin or anybody else in compromised positions as a means to distort and debase and just completely compromise them as fighters. We shouldn't see that ever. That's what I'm highlighting, ladies and gentlemen. Xander is not being called chilly. He's not being called out for, not going out on his shield. Nothing. Why is it not that way across the board? Why is the respect not multifold? Why is there a limit on respect given in boxing? That's the question, right? But we can easily find numerous grievances and objections or gripes being, given towards Boots. And like I said, he was the one that is the victor. He is the one that was crowned king last night. But that doesn't stop us from, being able to, not go online and see thousands and thousands of lamentations about his performance, or what he didn't do, or how he gets hit too much, or what they didn't like, or this, that, and the third, whether, like I said, it's warranted or not. Okay, because this isn't an argument for Boots, not being defensively sound or whatever have you. This is not a case for that. This is a case of respect for warriorship in boxing, right? No memes whatsoever being screwed. I didn't see one today, and I doubt that I will, on Xander. Memes being made of Xander, right? Very interesting. That the boxing world as a whole is alacritous about unseeing the fact that Xander Zayas quit. They're willing to unsee that. But they will tell you, oh, I can't unsee Devin Haney being cheated by a filthy fucking drug cheat. That they don't want to, they're unable to unsee. But everybody is willing to unsee Xander quitting or unsee Xander being defeated, even if he didn't quit, just being defeated. They could bypass that easily. So that these people, in other words, are logical. They have the ability to be logical. They are just partisan with their logic and completely irrational in its application, particularly when it's pertaining elite Black fighters. They can be logical anywhere else except towards elite Black fighters that they deem to be a threat, most importantly. Because the young king got no grace, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely no grace. When he was outright cheated by an overweight and fucking juiced up to his fucking gills in drugs, Riri the racist Garcia, when he fought that man. So that's the double standard that I wanted to highlight for you guys there, because it's going on, and I'm sure that you guys have come across it, so far, or you will, soon enough, ladies and gentlemen. But anywho, like I said, there are myriad adjustments that Boots needs to do, getting back to the aspect of defense and stuff like that, and some of the sound critiques that were made, not the illogical ones. Just wanted to touch back on the fanship who, calls these things out because they're actually observing what is going on. And they're not just talking simply just to be, contradictory or anything like that. But yes, there are adjustments that Boots definitely needs to work on, right? A few of them that I called out already. He should go back to the drawing board and make those assessments, right? So that he can properly implement him. And he should be anyway. You know what I mean? This is something that, because you learn something new on the battlefield all the time, ladies and gentlemen. There isn't anything that we walk through in this life that we can't take home, and inspect and do our reconnaissance on, brothers and sisters. Everything is a lesson. There are fruits and seeds within everything. So that as a warrior, he should be already, making these, notations to himself to go back to the drawing board and work as best as possible on, his last performance, and, embellishing upon the things that he did well. And of course, making the adjustments on the things that he wants to, implement next time. So that hopefully he's already in the mindset of doing that, after his victory last evening. Also, you guys, one thing, you tell me if you guys noticed this too. One thing I noticed that stood out to me last night, brothers and sisters, did you guys see the disregarding of his corner? Did you guys see Boots disregarding the corner, or am I bugging? Looked like there was some time, and I think he said it in the post presser too. Like, there were moments where I didn't listen. I'm saying I'm going to get better at that, something like that. He said something like that at the post presser, but definitely in real time when I was watching the fight, he was just and this is not the first time either. He just goes off on his own thing and does what he wants. Brothers and sisters, what's going on with him being able to be receptive to the guidance of his corner? Did anybody else find that strange? Anybody else find that strange? I thought that was interesting. There was like a disregarding of the corner, brothers and sisters. And to me, that's problematic. I think that goes without saying, ladies and gentlemen, right? Because it shows that he does not fully trust, value, or appreciate the guidance and support of his father, the foresight of his father, of the battle plan of his father and of his team. What's going on with that, y'all? What's going on with that? Is this a naivety that he just cannot get over? What is this? Like I said, this is not the first time that I have seen this, brothers and sisters. This is something that has been ongoing. You understand? Why is Boots doing that? What is this dismissal of the corner work, brothers and sisters? That's what the corner is there to do. How the fuck effective can he be as a warrior if he is disregarding the foresight and vision of the people who have the bird's eye view of what he needs to do. You understand? It's like being on the battlefield and you're like right there. You know what I'm saying? You right there in the center of the action. Everything that you see is close range, right? But then you have comrades, far out, snipers, expert snipers who are far out and got the motherfucking scope locked. And they can see far beyond what you can see. And they're covering your back because they can see well beyond with a bird's eye view of their terrain and surroundings. Are you going to be dumb enough to disregard their eye when all you can see is what's up close? That's the equivalent, ladies and gentlemen. Why is he taking that for granted? And what is making him do that? What's making him do that? I'm very curious to know. You know what I mean? To disregard the guidance is wild to me. You know, that means you're absolutely bypassing the whole scope of the terrain that you are in. You're only concerned about what you could see or what you think you heard or this, that, and the third. You have no idea about the predators a mile away, but that can smell you and that are tracking you. You know what I'm saying? You worried about this nigga that's like 3 feet away from you, 10 feet away from you. That's not good, ladies and gentlemen. That's another thing that he needs to go back to the drawing board on, in addition to some of the things concerning his defense and just his fundamentals overall, right? But his relationship to his corner. Right? Boots disregarding Bozy also shows that he doesn't respect the game plan that you've been working on. Haven't y'all been working on a game plan? It's like, what's the point of your training camp if you guys haven't been implementing a game plan? If you don't respect it, doesn't that mean that it's been nothing but futility to even have a training camp? If you don't believe in the game plan, what was the point of it? It's all futile then, if that's the case. At least that's how I see it. Interesting. Speaking of game plan, brothers and sisters, interestingly enough, if you guys recall, during the presser before the fight, right? I think this may have been Friday. I think Bozy had stated something in one of the last pressers before the fight. Bozy had stated something that was interesting to me. And he said, like, they didn't go through much of any type of formulating of anything. And like, basically they didn't have to do anything new within this training camp for this particular fight because Boots basically knew what he wanted to do. Something to that degree, if you guys recall from one of the final presses, right? Bozy was saying that basically, Boots knows what he wanted to do. So there wasn't really anything much to kind of adjust or change or add on to, because Boots pretty much already knew the aesthetic and he knew the direction, whatever have you. Ain't that interesting? That Boots basically knew what he wanted to do, and that was that. Right? Good people. Yes, absolutely. Boots put on an explosive performance last night, right? And he dominated with his will and with sheer grit, ultimately, Xander Zayas, right? He made Xander Zayas submit and quit. That's what he did. Okay. So yes, all of the credence and adulation and admiration you can give him for that type of performance. Okay. But Boots may want to understand and resonate on the reality that isn't going to cut it as he continues to build up stamina for the elite that he will face from here on out. Do you get what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? He might want to deal with the understanding that even though he got over Xander, the men that are on the horizon, brothers and sisters, whoever that may be, are not Xander Zayas. Okay? He needs to gauge with that. The men on the horizon are not him. Whether he is fighting Fundora, whether he is fighting Charlo, whether he is fighting Kelly, whether he is fighting Deccan, right? Let's say, whomever is in front of him in the future, Charlo, EJ, as my good brother posited earlier. My good brother Patrice. You know what I mean? Whoever it is, that may be on the horizon for him to face, brothers and sisters, who are of elite stock. He cannot go on being kind of lapsadaisical like that in his approach and his mindset. Right? And I think I had even heard Sean Porter mention something about a lack of a game plan. Now, I didn't really look into that. I kind of glimpsed at it on Twitter when I was scrolling, but that he had mentioned something of a game plan or whatever, and it made me, in viewing, him kind of like ignoring a little bit his corner last night. It kind of brought that to mind or whatever, and it's like, Boots, sir, and it kind of made me remember all the other times that I saw, him just going off and doing what he wants, if you will. You get in there with the elites, right? And you try to go in there disregarding any type of sound approach or a sound game plan or the guidance of your father or of your corner, right? Things may look totally fucking different when he's in front of a whole nother goddamn warrior, brothers and sisters. He needs to tighten that up too. That's the best defense he can fucking have, ladies and gentlemen. Is a sound goddamn game plan and a trust for your comrades on the battlefield. You get me? He cannot be lapsadaisical there. So I thought that was interesting. Very, very interesting. So, I totally understand and concur with a lot of the analysis from the fans, the cognizant fans who have been calling these types of things out and who have been making note of these types of things, because it's true. It's definitely valid. He needs to tighten up so that, we could see more elevation with him and that he could be, more sound in his delivery, because these things are what make a well-rounded, well-balanced, and, ultimately more likely victorious warrior, when they have these things snapped into place properly. Lastly, good people, what I did want to discuss with you before I go in and check in with the good fam again. Did you guys see Bud get on Twitter and throw some shiesty ass shade around to Boots? Did you guys see that? Let me take a sip of my water. Did you guys see Bud on Twitter, ladies and gentlemen, after Boots' victory? Did anybody get a glimpse of that on Twitter? So get this, good people. It's like, upon such a stellar victory, this motherfucker Boots, this motherfucker Bud decided, for whatever reason, to come out from his reclining chair in the comfort of his cozy, quaint home, enjoying the silence of retirement over a cup of tea. He found the wherewithal to, in whatever fit that he was in, throw some damn shade at Boots. And I just thought this was absolutely laughable. I don't know why he does things like this, the King Bud. Right? But at the same time, this comes as no surprise to me, because we are talking about Budrick after all, as my beautiful King BF, dubbed him, right? Budrick. Budrick was in full swing last night, brothers and sisters. Okay? Came out of hiding and says, it's way too, celebratory, going on over here. Much too, joyful. Let me go ahead and go throw some salt all the way out here on these Twitter streets, because I know somebody gonna see it and somebody's gonna get it to him so that he can see it. Right? Did you guys see that? What is going on with Budrick? Why is this man chiming in with a handful of salt sprinkled all over his phone, all over his tablet, wherever the fuck he's tweeting from? This man had a whole fistful of salt and says, "Chow, he done sprinkled the salt like that motherfucker that was seasoning the damn steak." That's Bud, ready to just sprinkle some fucking salt on some shit. Ready for that. What is wrong with Budrick, y'all? Isn't this man retired? Aren't you supposed to be happily retired, Budrick? What's going on, sir? Boots just became the unified champion at 154, an entirely new division for him, right? the fucking very division that Budrick hauled ass away from. Brothers and sisters, you didn't goddamn become unified there, sir. Yeah, 154, the same division you hauled ass out of after one fight against Madrimal. Can you just motherfucking congratulate a nigga and keep it goddamn pushing? Can you give this nigga a high five and keep it goddamn going? Why you gotta throw salt, bud? What is the salt for? You can't be congratulatory for 5 seconds in a tweet? It took you barely 5 seconds to write that shit. It couldn't have been something congratulatory that you put out there into the ether, into the Twitter ether. He really does trip me out, you guys. Bud Crawford. You know what I mean? What is the reason for all of the salt? This man is still, what is he? Still, mad, I guess, that people continue to parallel their names together. Is that what it is? Does he not like that people still make the parallel and draw the comparison between he and Boots? Is he salty about the fact that before he retired, Boots was still a name that was highly viewed as somebody that he should have fought before he exited? Is that what it is? Is he mad about that, ladies and gentlemen? Is it possible that he is perturbed? You know what I mean? Because he feels that he has something to prove competitively? Is that what it is? What's going on with the shade, ladies and gentlemen? A lot of motherfucking shade. What does this man want? Just congratulate the young brother. That's it. This is his division now, 154. You didn't want fucking 54. You didn't goddamn want it. You wanted nothing to do with fucking 54. So what the fuck are you hating on his ass for? Now that he is trying to claim supremacy there. You chose not to. Hello? Am I bugging or not? What is wrong with that man? Nobody told Bud to hang up his goddamn gloves. That's another thing. So that he speaks like he still has the, you know what I mean? The charge to whatever, but you could have still been in the fucking mix if you wanted to, nigga. You have to be in no goddamn reclining chair, with your wife baking cookies. Your ass could have been in the goddamn training camp yourself. If it's like that, if you're so salty and still feel like you got something to prove when it comes against, comes to Boots, you didn't have to retire, Bud. But he did. He chose that retirement was for him and that the time was now. And so that was that. And everybody was like, oh, we saluted you and says, thank you for, making history upon your exit. Thank you for that. Beautiful showing against Canelo Alvarez. Right? That's not the fight that I wanted to see Bud retire on. In fact, I didn't fucking give a fuck about the goddamn Canelo fight if I'm going to keep it all the way stacked with y'all. I didn't want nothing to do with that damn Canelo fight. Okay? I wanted him to fight Boots. I wanted him to stay at 54 and fight everybody there and give a damn about no damn Canelo, right? But he signed on. I was 10 toes with him. It is what it is. Okay, go ahead. Go make your legacy or whatever have you. It is what it is, right? So that he had my support ultimately in the end. But that is not what I asked for, ladies and gentlemen. My good family knows that because I have said that countless times, right? Upon hearing that that fight was even a thought, let alone concretized at that particular time. But here Boots is wanting to amass and acclaim the belts and ultimately, claim supremacy at 154. You can't say congratulations, bro. You know what I mean? Good looking. Look good. Or simply, you know what I mean? Salute to you. Did you guys see what Bud said, brothers and sisters? I'm about to show it to y'all. You know what I mean? But ultimately, he chose the retirement for himself. So I don't know what the little, soft little shade throwing is about. Especially when he gascinated, if you guys recall. Bud Crawford was even gascinating about how no amount of money could bring him out of retirement. That's how through he was, and that's how certain he was about being retired. So I was like, well, what the fuck is what is all this chatter then? Why are you still salty? Why are you still looking mad and looking like you want to compete or that you are unwilling to support the level of competition of the men who are still on the battlefield? It doesn't make sense to me. Absolutely doesn't make sense to me. Let me get this receipt for y'all because I do have it to show you in case anybody hasn't seen that tweet that he put out last evening. Here we go. Here we go. This is the statement from Bud Crawford, right on the heels of Boots' victory. Bud says, I'm going to keep my comments to myself, but y'all get it, I hope. What is this? Do you get what I'm saying? I'm going to keep my comments to myself, but y'all get it. Huh? What fucking comments, nigga? If you're going to say it with your fucking chest. Bird ass nigga. I don't like, and I fucks with Bud as far as like, you know, his stature, his ability. I like him as a fighter. You know what I mean? But I'm talking about the whole ass energy that he be having outside of the ring. It's just weird to me. He always been, weird with that shit. Why say anything at all, ladies and gentlemen? If you're going to keep your comments to yourself, keep them to your fucking self. What was the point of putting out a public tweet just to say, I'm going to keep my comments to myself? Other than the fact that you want to slight him without saying the shit with your chest. Go on and say what you're going to say. What the fuck comment, nigga? It's already out there. You ensured that. So go ahead and go all the way with it. Put fucking 10 toes in that shit. What are we doing? What can you say? Except, goddamn, what a fucking fight that was. What a beautiful night of boxing that was. What a spectacular victory that was. You get me? I just thought that was odd, and it was indicative of, something that we would see from Budrick. Very, very odd indeed. You know what I mean? I think during the post presser, Boots was asked about Bud at a particular point. He's always, Bud is usually brought up in one way or another. But in the presser, somebody had brought to Boots' attention this particular tweet of Budrick. And what he responded with, I thought was absolutely and totally appropriate and also very spot on, which was stating something, I'm paraphrasing, of course. I didn't get the exact quote, but Boots said something to the degree of, listen, we worried about what's ahead. We're not worried about retired fighters. You know what I mean? And I thought that was absolutely and totally appropriate, a statement and a judgment on that. Like, the fuck, nigga? I'm on to bigger and better things. I'm the unified champ. You know what I mean? I ain't worried about no goddamn retired fighter, nigga. Go, ain't your wife making you some motherfucking baked macaroni and cheese? Go ahead and go enjoy that and go take your babies to the park and get the fuck up out of my face. You know what I mean? Ain't that what you retired for? Go ahead and go enjoy that retirement, buddy. What the hell? Oh, I'm going to keep my comments to myself now, you hear, because you already know what it is. Excuse me? What type of sassy ass shit is that? I thought that was sassy as fuck. And for what? For what? Just give him a good old quick, high five and keep it the fuck pushing. That's it. You know what I mean? I'm like, get out of here with that. If Budrick doesn't intend on dusting off those damn boxing shoes of his and re-entering his tail into that ring to face Boots, don't fucking tweet about him. Don't say shit about him. Keep that shit to yourself. If you're not going to re-enter and saunter your way back into that ring to fight him or to fight anybody else currently standing, currently active, I don't give a fuck about keep your shit to yourself. Keep your salty ass, tweeting ass fingers to yourself. I thought that was wild, crazy. Is he trying to come out of retirement, ladies and gentlemen? Because he already postulated, like I said earlier, no amount of money is going to be. This is what he was saying before. When I'm done, I'm done. I'm not coming out for any amount of money. I have no interest in it whatsoever. I'm done. Right? Only for him to constantly still be pulling and culling forward, a level of attention towards, the fact that he thinks he's the best. Now, I understand that the warriorship does not die. You know what I'm saying? Because we still see, Tommy the Hitman Hearn, whenever he sees Sugar Ray, it's the funniest relationship that they have. Whenever he sees Ray Leonard, he's always going to be competitive with Ray Leonard. No matter how old those men get. when Herd sees Ray Leonard, he gonna put his little fist up in the air and he gonna show him, nigga, I'm gonna bust your ass. Like if I could just get 30 years of my life back, I would beat your ass. You know what I mean? And they laugh and they joke about it, and they still have that fiery competitive exchange with each other. And I'm saying even well into their maturity now, whatever. It's funny. So I know that the warrior spirit never dies. I get that, right? But the shade is misplaced, especially when you decided to exit the game. You know what I mean? You're not gonna go, you have no intention on going there and thugging it out with him. You very well could, right? Because Bud only just retired, not too long ago, right? So that he can still do that if he wanted to. But the tugging and pulling, when people ask him about it, he says no, he has no interest in it. But then comments like this and other comments that I have seen just seem to, pull towards lean towards the fact that he wants to get it popping in some particular type of way, which I'm not against. I would never be against that because I think Bud is a beautiful fighter, right? And it would be interesting to see, him fight Boots or, him fight whoever, right? Especially Boots, because that's the fight that I wanted him to retire on. Well, I wanted him to pass the torch to Boots. That's how it's supposed to be done, right? My beautiful king gave me a wonderful example of this, where he mentioned like the passing of the torch that, or just the crowning, right? The giving off of the aura would be similar to that of what Floyd did for Canelo, right? That fight, even though Canelo lost, but Floyd kind of crowned him with an aura that he never lost ever since he fought Floyd. So that if Bud Crawford were able to do that with Boots, that's what I wanted to see him retire out on, was giving the grace to the next generation of after him or whatever. But anywho, I just thought that was a very interesting tweet, right? Like I said, not surprising coming from Budrick or whatever have you, but I thought that was ill timing, if you will, right? Spectacular victory, wonderful night of boxing, and he went in and said something like that instead of opting to give him a good, much deserved congratulations. Interesting stuff, you guys. Let me check in with the good family before we wrap up and close things out. Salute to anybody that I may have missed. Salute to the King PG. I scrolled up a ways to see what you guys were saying. He says Boots goes away from the game plan and starts playing at times. Yeah, absolutely. He starts to, he wants to get loose. And like I said, I was talking about his confidence in the preface of our discussion. I noticed that, he's a very confident fighter. And sometimes that confidence, of course, is going to breed a bravado that he wants to express. And so he's very expressive. He's very creative. There's no slight to that. I like that about him because it's a part of what gives him his pizzazz, right? But I don't think at any particular point it should hinder you from sticking to a game plan, right? Your game plan is the mode of victory. You know what I mean? And so the abandoning of your corner work and their guidance is, it can be detrimental. It could definitely be detrimental. And like I said, as he continues to step up, as I'm expecting him to step up his level of competition, he has to be a little bit more sound, in these particular situations as the lights get brighter and brighter and brighter and the stakes get higher and higher and higher. Totally agree with you, King PG. Salute to Snacks in the building. I see you. What'd you say? You says, it could be since it's father and son. That's probably how he is with his pops. It's probably even that way growing up. That's all I can think of. Yeah, I guess so. They probably just have that relationship where it's very loose. And he's like the spoiled, he's just acting like this, maybe the spoiled kid still, the one that runs around and does what he wants. And the father's like, oh shit, here he go again. Just let him have at it. And I'll snap him back into reality, in maybe 5 minutes or so, whatever have you. But, but disobedience is disobedience. You know what I mean? Especially when you guys got so much on the line. I don't know, that it may very well be that dynamic, King Snacks. But I don't know. It's a weird trait. I don't know if that's always going to serve them on the battlefield. You know what I mean? So I would hope that they get more sound in establishing that respect, or that, Bozy, expressing some more limitations upon that and penalizing if necessary, those types of outputs in real time when they're in battle. Can't do that. So maybe he needs to be a little bit more stern Because the battlefield, as fun as it may be for him, it's not a playground. You know what I'm saying? Interesting stuff, you guys. But I'm glad the good family noticed it as well, because I sure did. Ain't it, Colin? Ain't it? Very interesting indeed. The King Ross says, I thought Xander would box more. Yeah, it was interesting. That's what I was expecting too. That's another reason why I had mentioned earlier was that I was quite surprised by Xander's output, because the fights that I watched of him, he was definitely more the mover, right? More kind of, stick and move type of fighter. So that I was definitely surprised to see, that he chose to stand there and go pretty much toe to toe and stand in the pocket with Boots. That was an interesting decision. Interesting decision, right? Which ultimately costed him severely. Definitely, right? Interesting stuff. But I totally agree. I was expecting more movement. The King Khaled also says, yes, Bud needs to stay quiet and retired. Absolutely. The King TD says, Bud, real petty for that. Ain't he? I was like, oh God, Bud, you retired and you can't stop being petty? God damn. Shit. Interesting. MAGA Crawford is diabolical, King Rod. Damn. Because that man surely was hugged up on the orange man. He was hugged up on the orange man. Okay? He held that old orange man like a prom date. That's how close he was standing to that old orange man. Ooh, child. Bud is always on some weird type of time, like I said. This man just never fails at giving me moments where I just hold my head like, God damn. He's the poster boy for like shaking my head emoji as far as boxing is concerned for me. Bud is always on some weird type of shit. I just don't think he can help himself. Crazy, crazy work. The King Anthony Latham says, honestly, to me, it's easy to chat now. You've retired. Like, why do all of the talking now unless there is a real intention to fight? That will come off as hate over time. My sentiments exactly, Anthony. Yeah, it's like, yeah, what's the point of doing all of that if you're not going to show improve and shut him up? You know what I mean? Or make him say, make show the reason why you say, you already know what it is. Because obviously he's saying, well, you guys have been, assuming that Boots was going to be the one to get me out of there, that he had the capacity or the potential, to rival me all of these years. And look, he got wobbled, he got this, he got that, whatever the going notion is about the performance. He's salty about that because people, like I said, they have had their names paralleled for so long. So he's like, look what happened to him by Xander. Imagine what I would do to him. And there are a lot of Bud buddies out here who have been, so ecstatic to say, oh, well, Bud would have got Boots out of there. He would have got him out of there. So many people jumping for joy as far as people who are fans of Budrick, just ecstatic and wet, talking about what Bud would have done, this, that, and the third. So there's a lot of that going around. And Bud certainly feels the same way. So it's like a machismo, like, oh, well, imagine what I would have done to him if Xander landed those clean shots type of thing. It's like, well, nigga, we don't got to imagine shit because you retired, nigga. You know what I mean? I'd be happy to imagine what you would do to him if there was the prospect of you two going on that damn battlefield. But that's what makes it obsolete and absolutely futile because you're in a fucking rocking chair right now, enjoying your wife baking you a fucking apple pie. As you should be. How about you just sit down and enjoy the apple pie instead of fucking putting out sassy ass tweets? You know what I mean? I got some loving in the super chat from my beautiful sis. Thank you, beautiful sis, so much for the love and support to the channel. As always, she says, my beautiful sis is cooking, working, and listening. Thank you, beautiful one. I appreciate you big. You already know what it is. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Let's see what else we got up in here. Wanted to see what other comments catch my eye. Ross says, I'm gonna keep my comments to myself. Cap. Right. It's like, well, nigga, what the fuck was the point of saying this fucking comment? You're not keeping your comments to yourself if you are publicly saying, I'm gonna keep my comments to yourself. How about you not fucking tweet? That's how you keep the comment to yourself, Budrick. God damn, that man is so petty. The King G says, y'all forgot how Bud was glazing Xander before the fight. Was he? Oh, I may have. Was that on Twitter as well? I may have missed that. G. But I definitely saw that one last night. Definitely saw so that he was what? He was saying he was like, giving a lot of credit and stature and praise to Xander. Interesting. I'm gonna have to go through Twitter and see if it's on Twitter that you're referring to. I'm gonna have to go back and check that. I didn't see his statements on Xander. I didn't even see where he was speaking about the Boots fight at all. So it's interesting that he even had a perspective before the fight or in the lead up, right? The King PG says, I want to read this one first because it's in order. King PG says, this is why Bud will never get the love and respect of the true legends of boxing. He also posited, Bud hates any black man that gets put on his level, but he will gladly give other fighters their props. Oh, God, King PG. Yeah, Bud has a weird affinity for the non-black, I get, fighters, if you will. You know what I'm saying? He extends a level of grace to non-black fighters. Like we saw him, being friendly with Tio after he was supposedly looking like he was going to try to intimidate Tio, but it wound up being him giving all this grace and leeway after fucking Tio called his ass a hard ER. You hear me? Gave his ass grace, right? He didn't have no, I'm going to save my comments and y'all already know what it is when it came to motherfucking Tio calling him the hard ER, right? But here he is chiding Boots Ennis for a beautiful, beautiful performance, brothers and sisters. It just doesn't make sense. So you're absolutely right on that, right? He does the same thing with the non-black fanship as well. He doesn't give any credence or accolade or acknowledgement or praise or respect to the black boxing audience. He didn't give the fanship. He didn't give any praise, any level of praise to his own fight between him and EJ, but he tried to prop up the fight with him and fucking Madrimov. Y'all remember that shit? Oh, this is the fight. This is a universal fight. This fight is going to, this is a universal fight. This fight is going to be way bigger. This fight is way more significant. The EJ fight was an urban fight. I'll never fucking forget that shit, brothers and sisters. That nigga called the fight with EJ one of the biggest fights of this era. An urban fight. An urban, that's just the fight that the black fans wanted, in other words. Can you believe this? And the fight with Madrimov is the star, of the show. That's the universal fight. Do you get this? Oh my God. That man has said and done and continues to say and do the most ridiculous, outlandish things to me. That's why I was never able to really stand solid beside him. Like, I support him, because I think he's a wonderful athlete and he has proven that. But goddamn, I don't. He never really had my full support. Like, Bud is not. He doesn't get the level of support that I give the young king. He doesn't get the level of support that I give EJ, or that I have given Wilder and so forth, and all the beautiful brothers that have been 10 toes in boxing and show that level of valor and heart and stuff like that. He has no awareness whatsoever, and he's absolutely disconnected culturally. That just is what it is. It is what it is. Okay? He's on weird old time for that for me. Always been on the weird old time when it comes to that. That's why I can't stomach him. Can't stomach him. I can give him his credence. I can watch his fights. I can anticipate a wonderful performance from him. I can congratulate his victories, but goddamn, I don't step with him like that at all, honestly. Okay. Let me see who else. I think we got some more. Let me go down. Let me go back down. Anthony says he makes sure to reveal himself as a coon, king. Oh, you're talking to King Khaled. A lot of similar actions to Floyd. Yes. Yeah, definitely. We could definitely parallel Bud alongside Floyd as far as their mentality, for sure. The disconnectedness from the culture. Definitely, definitely, for sure. Okay, Colin says, say that, SugarFreeMars. Child, we on it. The good family know what time it is. You know what I mean? Salute to the king, Enoch in the building. What's up, king? He says, Boots' camp ducked Bud, but Bud won't ever dare fight Haney at a catch weight. Interesting statement. Interesting statement. I would put the onus on both, because yes, you had the boot situation, right? But wasn't, I don't know how to gauge that one. I would put the onus on both camps. I'll just say that, on the Boots and on the Bud. You know what I mean? But the interesting portion of the Haney at a catch weight. Imagine that. That would be spectacular. That would be a spectacular fight. Imagine if Bud Crawford fought Boots before he retired, and if a match had been made for whatever reason and by whatever means between Bud and the young king before Bud exited the sport. Oh my goodness. Now that is legacy. That is a legacy. See, it goes back into what I was talking about the passing of the torch. Boots had no intention on passing the torch to any of these young brothers. He didn't want to do it. He refused to motherfucking give me the rematch with EJ, which is what it is, right? For all intents and purposes, I'm very well aware of the things that may have been, a part of the dynamic of why that dematerialized or whatever have you. It is what it is, right? So that aside, what I really would have liked to see, since I couldn't get the EJ rematch, would have been Boots. The passing of the torch to that, right? And since you added in the equation of what that could have looked like if Devin was in the mix of that conversation, is part and parcel of my example, right? But that he should have passed the torch to one of the young brothers. He should have passed the torch on, and he just did not do that. He had one fight at 54 and skated his ass up to go fight Canelo. You know what I mean? It's like, that's a gripe that I will always have for Bud Crawford, is how he exited. I thought it was a beautiful victory over Canelo. Fantastic victory. I take nothing away from that victory, but it wasn't meaningful in its totality, right? The potential of the meaning of his retirement would have meant so much more if he not only did that, if he wanted to do that, but that, if he passed the torch along, that holds more significance to me. You know what I mean? Because the young brothers, that's the problem with that seems to be a point of failure in boxing, is the passing of the torch mentality. That's another thing that Floyd did not do as well. He did not pass the torch to Keith Thurman, a young, beautiful brother on the come up. One time, Thurman was a beautiful, phenomenal fighter, fiery fighter, one of my favorite fighters at the time. He did not give it to EJ at that time, right? He could have even fought Bud, Floyd Mayweather. He didn't fight Bud. You know what I mean? So that the passing of the torch, the process of initiation is I don't want that to die, right? And so we had Floyd do that or refuse to do that, and here we have Bud, who also decided to not do that, right? The rites of passage, passing it on to the next one up. He did not do that. So I hope that does not continue. We need the mentality of our beautiful warriors, our beautiful brothers, passing the torch on upon, the previous warrior's exit, right? Before that exit, they need to pass it on. You understand? All the beautiful giants previously have done that to one capacity or another. They were given it. They were given the hand of the elder before them in some way or capacity. If they didn't fight them, they had the hands passed over them. You get me? I want to keep that alive in some way. And it's unfortunate that we didn't get to see Bud do that. If not with Devin, of course, right? Because Devin was, that's more of like a dream fight scenario, but Boots was a viable option right there. That could have been done. That just was bypassed for whatever reason. Interesting stuff, you guys. Oh my goodness, my beautiful, beautiful Empress Emma is in the building. Big, big love, big hugs to my Empress. She says, endless abundance to the gorgeous and honorable sister, SugarFreeMars. Oh my goodness, my Beautiful Empress makes me smile all the time with her hearts and her nines too. Thank you, Empress Emma. I hope that everything is well with you and yours. Always lovely to see you. Right? I'm about to close this out now, but it made me smile, brought a big smile to my face to see you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Oh my goodness, the King Prize is in the building as well. Salute to the King Prize. I saw you come up in here. Blessings and blessings. What did the King Bud say? Bud said Crawford is an exceptional fighter, but undoubtedly an asshole. Real talk. Real talk in myriad ways, King Bud. Okay. What is going on? Not too dark. The King Ra is on demon time this evening, ladies and gentlemen. He says Bud is too dark for that nonsense. Child. That is diabolical. Oh my God. King Ra is no good. You hear me? King Ra is no damn good. Wasn't it? I still cringe to the depths of my soul when I think back about that. That man called him and EJ an urban fight. I will never forget that. And I did a video on that at that time, right? The receipts are still up. The footage and my receipts are still up of the video that I did surrounding that. I thought that was absolutely nonsensical and beyond foolish. I was like, what? What? Oh, that was just an urban fight. Because, at that point, he wanted to dismiss anything related to EJ. Anything and everything related to EJ. He wanted to just completely dismiss and dismantle. So that he belittled the biggest fight of his life at that point. So that he can uphold a Madrimal fight. A fight that nobody fucking asked for. Nobody knew who the fuck Madrimal was. Oh, no, this is the universal one. This is the one right here. This is the one for the boxing world. Oh, the EJ fight was an urban. Oh, my God. That shit still disgusts me like he said it yesterday. Absolutely unforgivable. Absolutely unforgivable. But anywho, brothers and sisters, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's discussion. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for joining me, you guys, for another wonderful Sunday cooking, right? I hope that you guys enjoyed yourselves. It's good to chop it up with the good family at all times, right? Every Sunday is like, something new and something, exciting to discuss with the good family. I'm so glad that I had you here. As always, I'm appreciative of your time that you carve out to spend with me here. Infinite blessings to my big steppers, right? My beautiful sis Cam, the beautiful Empress Emma, the King Ra, the King Prize, the King TD, who was in the building today for the first time, the King Bud, the King Enoch, who came through, my number one comrade, the Coach Hudson, the King Khalid, the King PG, Anthony Latham. I'm trying to read all y'all names if I can. The richest one was up in here. So many people, I can't scroll all the way up. It won't let me go all the way up. But infinite blessings to the good family. Everybody who stopped through here, the great Mike. Who else could I remember off the top? My Queen Mama Love, all the usuals, all the regulars. Oh, my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful King BFTB. I can't forget him. All of you guys, I definitely appreciate you. I hope you enjoyed it, you guys. Hit the like button on your way out. And I will see you guys on the next one. Have a beautiful, prosperous week ahead, you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.